Ange Postecoglou is the new Tottenham manager, but not everyone's convinced about it. They say things like, I don't know who that guy is. It's easy to win stuff in Scotland, and he doesn't have Premier League experience. What can he know? Well, I'm going to try and tell you why he's perfect for Tottenham, but also where the difficulties may lie and where you might experience some bumps in the road. For example, a hard truth, Spurs are now not a top 4 club. This season they finished 8th on 60 points, that is bad. But when you look at the table, you start to see a real problem because Man City are going to win the league forever now. In second, you've got Arsenal, who are very, very good. Then you've got Man United, who aren't going to leave that top 4 for a while. Newcastle have arrived. Liverpool will be back, they're 5th. And then look at Chelsea, they're going to be back next season, I guarantee it. That's them on 6, which means Spurs really are in the top 7. So what is success for Spurs? It's probably being good within that top 7, and to be better, you have to overperform. So that's a problem that you've got there. So what we know here is that the big manager experiment for Spurs has failed. Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, that thing hasn't worked out. And it's left Spurs in a bad way, a disconnect with the fans, and a squad that plays this kind of very negative defensive football in a 3-4-3, where they sit back and encourage teams to come onto them, so they leave space behind just so they can exploit them on the counter-attack and use these very good front 3. Then the front 3 aren't really supported by anyone with creativity behind them. All the midfielders are 6s or 8s. All these guys, look at them. All of these guys suit playing in a very kind of a middling defensive kind of midfield position rather than getting behind the striker and threading through balls in. And then really the fullbacks they've got are wing backs. What I'm trying to say essentially is this team has been built to play transitional counter-attack football in a 3-4-3 formation. That's what Spurs have built, and the football is not good, the fans don't like it, and it's going badly. So why is Postecoglou the best choice? Well, it's because he plays great football. It will not look like this. Now we can sort of work out what that might look like based on what his previous teams have looked like. So you'll most likely get a kind of 4-3-3 shape. This is what he played at Celtic. You play a 4-2-3-1, you played a 3-4-3 for Australia. But regardless of shape, they will be attacking, they will be intense, they will win the ball high up the pitch. And he uses a version of positional play similar to what Pep Guardiola does. It's a bit more direct. What you'll often get is wide wingers. They'll stick wide here. Then the 2 8s will kind of attack the space between the winger and the forwards. When you get in the final third, of course, the wingers can come off the wide areas and come in to attack the half spaces, because the half spaces are something that Postecoglou really likes. You get lots of underlapping runs, particularly from the 8s into these positions to try and score goals. And it's all nice, neat and tidy, 1-2s, they'll swap positions, loads of positional rotations in these areas to be able to create these sorts of things. But then again, if you look at the players you've got, Højbjerg, Bentancur, not really the best at doing that sort of thing right now. And then what you might also get is the fullbacks will invert. So the left-sided fullback for Celtic, Greg Taylor, would often come inside the pitch. So in build-up, you'd see something like this. You'd have a back 2, you'd have a 3 with the right back wider, because the right back for Celtic was more of an outside overlapper, which of course is useful if it's Pedro Porro, because he goes inside like that. Further back, you get this. When they push high up the pitch, as they will do to keep possession, Davies, if this is the fullback that they use here, will then arrive in these sorts of half spaces. But what you might get is there's lots of players squeezing up the pitch, having control of it, so when they lose the ball, they can counter-attack. The ball's lost over here, they can smash into it, win the ball back quickly. And that's of course something that Celtic did very well, and as other teams have done as well. Celtic had the lowest PPDA, passes per defensive action, in the Premiership last season, but you'd expect them to. They're the best team by miles. He made them play this nice kind of football, but they won it in that way. High possession, high intensity, win the ball high up the pitch. This is what you'll probably get from Spurs, something like this. But of course there are big differences to what Celtic had in the Scottish Premiership. They were the best team, as we say, by miles, and these players do not exactly suit this. This will take a lot of coaching to make this work. The good thing is that Postecoglou's teams are always successful. He wins everywhere he goes and makes teams better. His record is astonishing. If you go back through his career, he's won league titles in 3 different countries. His Brisbane Roar side have been described in various interviews as the most entertaining or the best club side to watch in Australian domestic football history. He turned Australia into a team that wins stuff. He got them the 2014 World Cup, they were good. Then they won their first ever Asian Cup there. Then he went to Japan, where his team, Yokohama, were described as Pep Guardiola as being incredible. Then he went to Celtic, where he dominated. He won 5 out of 6 trophies, and they scored more goals this season than Celtic ever have since 1938. Basically, he's really good at what he does, but it will take time. This is the problem you've got. To make this work for this sort of team, you're going to have to do a lot of coaching and also probably bring in different players. Like we say, Højbjerg, Bentancur are not the sort of number 8s that he would want to have if he plays something similar to how Celtic played. And that would require really good recruitment, which is something that Spurs haven't been historically good at in the last few seasons. So he's successful everywhere he goes, and success is good. Spurs want success, but it will take time. For example, at Celtic, people said similar things when he arrived. They're like, I don't know who this guy is, he won't be very good, what's he know? but it took time. His first game in charge of Celtic was a 1-1 draw in the Champions League against FC Midtjylland, that's okay. Then he lost the second game 2-1. They were out of Champions League before his job had really even started. Then his first league game was a defeat to Hearts. Celtic shouldn't lose to anyone. And so naturally people started going, well, I don't know about this. But over time, slowly these things started working. You started getting the fullbacks moving inside while the midfielder came outside. So then you start creating these lovely passing routines that teams can't work out how to press against. So you get advantages like a 3v2 in the press from this area. Or when you move up the pitch, you start getting more players turning up that you wouldn't expect. Like the inverted fullback turns up to score a goal while the centre forward passes it through to him. All these things take time. And of course, the recruitment is essential. They have to bring different players in to play the way he wants, but good coaches can often make players better. That's one of the things that coaching does. And you see players that have been to Man City with Guardiola, Fabian Delph. Some of these have improved massively under good coaching. Who's to say that Postecoglou couldn't do that as well? Just because Mourinho and Conte couldn't do it doesn't mean this guy from Australia can't. And to reiterate, this is a team built to play defensive football. All the rotations and the movement, all this sort of stuff that we'll probably see at some point under Postecoglou, and we'll cover it in future videos, that's something that will take time to coach on the training ground. And Spurs need to work out what they're going to accept, because if he has a similarly bad start to his career with Spurs, like he did at Celtic, the pressure's going to pile on, the players will lose confidence, he might not get the players in that he needs, and then he has to start deviating from what he wants to do to try and win. Be more pragmatic, they'll say. Be more pragmatic, play defensively here. Don't try and play out from the back all the time. But I'll tell you what, there is absolutely no way in hell Postecoglou is going to deviate from the way he plays. He sticks to what he knows. If you watch any interview or read anything with him, any ex-players or coaches say the same thing. They say single-minded, strong-minded, what he says goes. He is a disciplinarian, also a father figure. Harry Kewell described him as saying, he doesn't have a black and white, he has black. That's what he wants. This one singular vision. And everyone has to buy into that, and that's how his teams will play. If he's getting battered 4-0 playing attacking football, he won't change from it. I'm sure there'll be deviations now and again with certain tactics, but that's what you'll see. And he says why. The reason I get my teams to play this way is because I've had a lot of success and I'll continue to have success with it. So he's good at that, that's what works for him, that's what he'll try and do at Spurs. If the recruitment matches what he wants to do, they'll be fine. If he gets the time to develop players and develop the team the way he wants to, I guarantee it'll be really successful and good to watch. And the Spurs fans have had a tough time, it's not been good to watch. They're now a top 7 team, and once they were top 4, that's over. You gotta accept that. But this guy is maybe the best one they could possibly get right now to build them to back up to that top 4 position they want to be in. He's really good. If he gets the time, he will show you why he is the perfect choice of Spurs, and that's Ange Postecoglou to Tottenham.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.